Okay, E. We are live. Ha! Yep. You ought to know about now.
Yes, sir.
This that raw, that dope, that pure uncut cocaine.
E.
What up?
This that raw, that dope, that pure uncut cocaine.
Uh-huh.
All that weight I lost, I gained it back due to social distancing.
Social distancing.
Get him, Gino. Get him, Gino Pacino.
We are back, E. Another week, man. What's happening?
We are back. Good morning, Chicago and the rest of the world. Welcome to the MONEYSEXGENX podcast. This is season 3, episode number 4. Why are your relationships effed up?
E.
I am your host with the most, your man with the plan, the Scottie Pippen of podcast pimping. Mr. Eric McLeod, and I am joined by the Titan of Team Tech, music mogul in the making, the Rashid Wallace of podcast knowledge. My brother, the homie, Big Stu.
Hey, bo.
Big Stu, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, I'm on fire. I'm excited, man.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
Excited to be here, man.
Yes, sir. I'm excited myself. I've been waiting to have this conversation like many others for a while. We also have a special guest that's joining us today. Y'all got to get ready for this, brother. His name is Nyatu Marvel.
Wait. The brother is dope. He is dope. We know he's dope. That's true. But wait. We so excited. We can't forget our protocol. I know we got a tight show. But look, real quick, E, we got to remind the people, we got merch.
We do have merch.
Come on. Let's just go to our store. The link is in the bio.
That's right.
We got merch.
We got merch.
Hoodies.
Yep.
We even got a collabo with you want to tell them about the collabo we got, man?
Let me tell you something. I went on the website the other day and I looked at the hoodie that was on the screen and I said to myself, I know that's not a C that I see on the bottom of that sleeve. I pulled my car over and I looked over and it said Champion MSG.
You pulled over.
Pulled the car over. I couldn't believe it. I looked on the screen and it said MSG Champion hoodie.
We got
the Champion hoodies. We got 2 flavors. We got the black joint and we got the, I guess they call heather gray or the steel gray.
No doubt.
Got to get over to our website, MONEYSEXGENXpodcast.com. We got the hoodies. We got the mugs with the red piping that are very sexy way to drink coffee in the morning.
Like that
right there. There you go with the red piping. We got the joint with the black piping. We got the dresses, the t-shirt dresses. We got a bunch of stuff. Somebody even pointed out we got the backpack now. We got backpacks.
We got backpacks. Yep. So yeah, just go ahead over and the link is in the bio. Go cop the baseball tee or the mug or something, because MONEYSEXGENX is a lifestyle. And so
Absolutely.
we got that.
Lifestyle, a movement. And guess what? The stuff is of quality, reasonably priced. Make some great gifts for that Gen Xer in your life.
Or that millennial.
Or that Gen Z. Anybody can get it. All right. Okay,
we're ready. We got a guest. Go ahead, do your thing, man.
Nyatu Marvel is joining us today. And Nyatu Marvel is Hitch. He is a dating and relationship consultant. He is a certified premarital and marriage counselor, certified life coach. He does have a book out right now, Why He Married Her and Played Me, which is available for purchase. And I was pleasantly surprised to be introduced to this brother this week. Nyatu, what is up? What's going on?
Happy Sunday, man. Thank you guys for having me on. I definitely respect Scott Stewart and even just being introduced to the concept of yourself this week. I already see, that we in alignment about certain things. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be here on the show.
Thank you.
So I'm Marvel like Marvel. Marvel is the towers. That's the insurance company. We see too many commercials. Now, I'm the heir to the Marvel throne, Iron
Okay.
Man.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Excuse
Okay.
me. It's Marvel and Nyatu Marvel.
Marvel. I got
that makes sense, man. That's the Marvel is Marvel, man. I get it.
Indeed.
Make it clear.
Well, we got you here today. You're definitely one thing I was very surprised about. Not surprised, but it was kind of refreshing. I was looking at some of your videos on Facebook, and you said something that jumped out at me. You said, "Hey, you know what? I'm a student of this thing."
Absolutely.
And I really appreciated that, because I don't like sometimes to hear from people that kind of come off like they know it all, or maybe their knowledge is sort of stagnant. So you had me locked in when you said, "I'm a student."
Absolutely. And that's truly how I feel. It's just something I've been studying, something that I've just been interested in, fascinated by, intrigued by the dynamics of it, and just paid attention to it my whole life for free. But then people would seek advice based on stuff I would say or comments I would make. And I really just had a vision. I always wondered, like, how can I get Black people to unite? How can we overcome this? Like, we're seeing groups that develop way after us, excel past us as far as being able to secure their rights and force politicians in the country to respect them and do things. And so I came to the realization and the vision that, if we can come together as couples, the right man and the right woman, and be able to, normalize uniting in that way, then the concept of uniting as a culture and as a race and as a group won't be so foreign and so difficult. It makes sense. If people are with their person, there's a level of accountability, and also there's a level of partnership to that person's benefit. So I think people will be in a better position to be the best person that they can be. And so that's what made me decide to go with Nyatu Marvel's Hitch and really try to take this to the masses.
Yeah, I love that. I always say this. I say this to people all the time, but I say this, and I'm glad that you just mentioned this. I don't know how we can move forward as a people if we don't focus more on family. And obviously, if we're having families, we have to have solid relationships in order to be able to even conceptualize a family and keep a family moving forward. And to me, that is like over politics. It's over money. It's over any other thing in my mind that one could conceive of. Big Stu, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why do you feel like we don't have this focus or emphasis on family above other things?
Selfishness, man. Everybody out for self. We've gotten into this very centralized, self-focused world where, me first and everybody else can get the scraps. We've kind of lost our focus, man, And then, of course, I will say, with the advent of all this social media, we've gotten consumed with what's happening in other people's lives.
Yeah.
And comparing our lives to other people's lives and thinking their lives is better. And then that's pretty much addictive. And so you lose focus, man. You lose focus on what's important, which is what's happening under your own roof, man. That's what I think about it.
Okay.
That's powerful, Stu. You hit the nail right on the head. I call this the era of individualism, right?
The era of individualism.
And it's just what you said. People go on social media and look at other people's highlight reels and then compare it to our blooper reels, right? We focus on our mistakes and we focus on our failures, and then we go on social media and we see everybody's quote unquote highlight reel, and it has us all messed up, which is why the title of this tonight is so actually potent.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Marvel, and maybe you said it. I know I'm known for not sometimes paying attention, right? did Did you say that? What is your relationship / marital status?
I'm unavailable. I'm gonna put it that way.
Okay, all right. Have you been married?
That's the first time I've said that publicly, but I'm gonna say that I'm unavailable. Normally, I would be saying I'm single, but right now, Hitch is unavailable.
Nice.
It's hitched. Hitch is hitched.
Okay.
I didn't say that. I said,
let me not put no words in your mouth, brother. Hitch is unavailable. Hitch is unavailable.
Yeah, I like that. Unavailable.
And just to let you know, we do have some feminine energy in the green room right now.
Good.
We'll bring her on in about 14, 15 minutes or so, about 16 minutes or so. We'll bring this feminine energy into our space.
All right. So yeah, let's dig into this a little bit deeper. So every week in Nyatu, we usually do what we call actual factuals. It's like a little segment that we do. Usually we come with statistics. But today, because we had such a multifaceted concept that we were discussing, I went in because I always assumed that I don't really know much, especially when it comes to relationships. So I started digging around for a couple of hours, and I came up with 3 reasons that relationships typically fail. And I want to get your feedback on this. And I boiled it down to these 3 things. Let me know if I'm wrong. Number 1, lack of trust. Number 2, poor communication. Personally, I can't tell you how many times I've had a relationship end with a friend or a woman over a text message, for example. Poor communication. Number 3, non-acceptance. Trying to get people to be what they're not and not accepting them for what they are.
Wow.
Am I simplifying this too much, or am I somewhere in the ballpark of why relationships are effed up?
No, I think you're spot on. You know, number 1 was lack of trust. And so, you know, we have to understand what that means. The only way you can trust somebody is if you actually know them. Because trusting somebody is having faith and belief that somebody will be who they've shown you to be consistently over a period of time. Not what they said out of their mouth.
Right.
Think that they would do what you would do
right.
in a situation. And so, yeah, the reason why the trust is missing is because people haven't even really gotten to know each other. The second thing you said, definitely poor communication. Huge problem. Communication is like breathing to living to a relationship. And so, you know, not only are people not putting effort into the communication, meaning people are expecting the other person to read their mind, but 2, when they do communicate, they've made up their own definitions for words, and they haven't provided you with a dictionary for their terms and their slang. You know, exactly. I've been in discussions going back and forth with people, and I'm like, people get mad at me. I take a screenshot of the definition and post it up so we know we're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Because people have had experiences and they've assigned their experiences to words. And so comprehension, there's a huge gap. I say every day that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And so we speak in Martian, they speak in Venetian. We need some translation. Like you literally, there's a new app called Clubhouse. And I've been fortunate to moderate some groups about relationships. And you ask women a question and 50 women answered, and not one of them answered the question. It was all deflection. It was all, you know what I'm saying?
Like, deflection. I think women have mastered the art of deflection, brother.
Yeah, but I also take some responsibility, for it too. I don't think it's all deliberate. I think that literally we're speaking a different language, that we're speaking from a different place. And so there comes the gap in the communication and the comprehension. And then last, what you said is not acceptance. And so, I do a live every Sunday at 4:44 from my Facebook page. And last week, it was all about disillusionment. And that's what that is. You're not accepting. You put this fantasy in your head and you're trying to make this person, fit into some box that you tried to place onto them. And it just doesn't work. It's not a component for a healthy relationship. So I think you're spot on.
Wow, thank you. That makes me feel better, even though I'm still got a lot of work to do with relationships. Now I want to go back to this comment that I made about, and I'm just keeping it at 100. But like I said, and this is real, I have lost at least 15 relationships based on text messages alone. And something you said jumped out at me, the wording. So a lot of these situations, when I think back now, the wording that they use is probably not what they intended. But because we didn't clarify, what do you mean by this word that you just used? And then you just run off on a tangent based on what you saw. Now you've ruined a relationship. That is ridiculous. Stu, have you ever been in that situation? Have you ever lost any relationships over a text message?
Not over a text message, but I've gotten into a lot of discussions about interpretations. I think I'm an effective communicator, but I can't tell you how many times I've run into the issue of miscommunication in a relationship. And really, I really want to say it's just like miscommunication in relationships. I ain't even talking about intimate relationships, just with people, period. Right. I mean, if we expand relationships from beyond it, miscommunication is a problem everywhere, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely. And so I think you got to have this willingness you got to care enough about the relationship that you're in to get past the miscommunication. You got to be open-minded enough to say, okay, it wasn't intentional. You didn't mean it. I understand now. Okay. For me, one of my biggest challenges is wanting to make sure that I'm heard and understood. And it's hard for me. If I don't feel like I'm heard and understood, it's hard for me to hear anything else. That's problematic sometimes. So
it is. Yeah. And I mean, what I've learned too is like, you could be mature enough to pick up the phone and call the person, like you said, and just make sure, like, did you mean that way? Or is it just me taking it that way? Tara Nicole says, sometimes I feel so misunderstood. Yeah, no doubt. Angela Hampton said, clarify. I think she's referring back to Nyatu's point about making sure we're on the same page about the words that we're using. So yeah, miscommunication is a big deal. Another thing that I don't see talked a lot about, fellas, is we want to have relationships with other people, but what about the relationship that we have with ourselves? How does that factor into the relationship that you have with other people?
What do you mean? Explain. Like, I don't know what that means.
I know what it means.
What does it mean? What does it mean, Marvel?
Well, you can't love anyone else if you don't love yourself. You can't appreciate anyone else if you don't appreciate yourself.
That's right.
If you're unhealthy, your mind state is healthy, then, how can you develop some type of healthy connection with someone else? So it definitely starts with self. And, unfortunately, growing up Black in America, 99.999% of the time you're walking around with some type of PTSD and certainly lots of traumas, by the time you're a teenager. And so these childhood traumas come back to haunt us as adults. I think people tell themselves that time heals, that if just 10 years went by since this thing occurred, that I'm okay now. And we bury things and we don't understand, what the healing process takes and involves. And so, we attract all of these situations and we don't understand why. And it's because of the relationship that we have with ourselves, just like Eric said.
I want to tap into that a little bit. So there's this piece about, we grow up under the, Disneyland, magical spell, right?
Right.
You find a prince or a princess, you kiss the frog, or you kiss the ugly monster, and they turn into this princess and they go off into the sunset, right? And they live happily ever after. But so that's how we're, as a society, at least as a Gen Xer, I know I was raised that way. But what about expecting, some of us get into it, expecting somebody to compliment us, to complete us, and then now we're saying, nope, come whole, right? And then, so what do we need from our partner? What is the relationship? What should the relationship be looking to accomplish?
That's really a relationship by relationship thing. There is no one size fits all. That people come together for different reasons. Some people come together because they want to make a family. They want to have kids. They want to have a mother and father unit. in there. Some people are coming together for more transactional reasons. You know, it's financial. Some people are coming together, you know, just for companionship. And so it varies for everybody. But what I think everybody needs is a healthy relationship, whatever the agreement is, you know. But we don't get to decide that for other people. And I really want anybody who's watching to understand that, you know, be who you really are. But there's somebody out there for you. You know, try to be the best version of yourself for sure. But don't try to fit into the box of what society says. Don't try to put your relationship into the box of what society says. You really have to get to know yourself and understand yourself to know what type of relationship you need to be able to grow and prosper with inside of. This is how I judge compatibility. Can I still maintain my peace of mind? Is my ambition still as high? Is my energy still as high? You know, is my quality of life as high or better?
Yeah.
Because if it's not, if it's draining, if it's just pulling me down, if it's slowing things down, this is not for me.
Exactly. Man, you got some jewels.
I'm looking for a partner.
No question. Dropping some jewels, brother. I want to get to this comment from Tara Nicole because it's going into something I wanted to talk about. She says, but when miscommunication happens, it seems that people are so unforgiving.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, I can't say that I disagree with that, and I can't say I'm not guilty of it. But one thing that also occurred to me when I was doing the research for this week's episode is we don't hear people talk about the fact that, so me and Big Stu are developing a friendship. You know, we've been knowing each other for about a year. But I have to keep in mind that if I have a friendship with Big Stu, I'm also going to be dealing with whoever he has a relationship with that I might not know, right? You know what I mean? So, like, what do I mean by that? So I know of his lady. So he has a relationship with his lady that has certain characteristics. He has a relationship with maybe his mother, his brother, his cousin, and then you take it on a romantic level. So my lady that I have now, I'm not just in a relationship with her. I'm in a relationship with her mother, her father, you know, all of the people in her family. And one of the mistakes that I feel like I've made when I was younger is I didn't pay attention to the other people in the chain of the relationship.
Yeah, that's important.
That's heavy, bro.
That's super heavy.
That's heavy.
Woo, man.
That's heavy.
Really,
but you only get there when you are serious about the relationship. Well, does that happen? Do you care about that if you haven't considered being serious in that relationship? When do you start caring about those people in the chain?
One of the initial conversations that I have when I interact with women and invest some time in conversing with a woman is, you know, who are your friends and confidants? Who do you talk to? Who do you tell things? You know, so that I know in advance who's going to know any business that I share with you, right?
Yeah,
so before you meeting them or anything like that, you know, I might not lay it on this directly the first time. The first question I say, well, you know, we had 2 or 3 conversations. What would you tell your close friends about me right now? You know, based on so far, you know, and boom, they won't tell you everything that they told them, but you're going to get an idea of how much, you know, this woman reports to her friends or whoever it is, mom or, you know, friend, but whoever her confidants are. But that's the exact word that I use.
Yeah, I like that. And I mean,
it comes in early, believe it or not. Women are screenshotting conversations and all kinds of going on in this world of individualism, this era of individualism.
That's right.
So yeah.
What is that about? Like, what is that about? Can you have any insights on some of that stuff? Is it still due to the lack of trust? Like what's happening? Can you break that down a little bit? Maybe Mel, maybe our female energy, when we bring her on, maybe we'll table that question for her.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and the other thing that I want to make sure we do in this conversation, and if you all are just tuning in, you are rocking with the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. This is season 3, episode 4. Why your relationships effed up. We have Nyatu here. We got my co-host Big Stu. We're trying to get deep into this relationship conversation. We're trying to stay away from the cookie cutter themes and concepts that we hear. We're trying to get out of Disneyland, Busch Gardens and get into the real about relationships.
Indeed.
And the first thing that we need to do or go back and do is define, what does the word relationship actually mean? Because I'm gonna tell both of you, one of the biggest issues I've seen, and I tell people this all the time, I spent a little bit of time dabbling in Scientology about 5 years ago. And I know Scientology has a bad rap and we've heard all this stuff. But one thing that I did like about Scientology is they have this concept, and they say this, and I believe it to be true, that anytime you have a serious issue in your life or you have a serious issue with a situation, they say that the root of that is because you don't understand the word or a word in whatever process or situation that you're dealing with. And to they believe that that can lead to mental illness. It can lead to committing crimes, this, that, and the other. I also believe that when words are not, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the conversation, but I also believe beyond clarifying a word, when we don't understand a word just in and of ourselves, it could lead to a multitude of problems. Because if I go to Big Stu and say, yo, I want to have a better relationship with you as my friend, I might not even know what the word means, much less me and him having the same understanding of the word. I might not even know what relationship means.
Well, I did pull the definition. I'm gonna read it.
Nice.
The way, so it's a noun. There are a couple of definitions. The way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected, right? The state of being connected by blood or marriage. The way in which two or more people or groups regard and behave toward each other.
How do we feel about the definition? Is that appropriate?
I would agree with it. I think it's spot on. I'm here for it. I can live with that.
Yeah, I think it's accurate.
Okay.
What about you? How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with it. It's very simple. So if that's the case, then my understanding would be then that we must have relationships with a multitude of people
and things
and concepts than we probably would even think on a daily basis. If it's about your connection to something or someone, like somebody could be in a movement. Remember Rough Riders back in the day? People was in a Rough Riders motorcycle club. So that was a relationship. Absolutely. You know what I mean? If you was part of if you was on the East Coast and you were part of Rough Riders, you had the jacket and all that, you're part of a relationship. I don't know if people would have viewed it that way, but that's what it is. If you rock Polo or some specific brand, that's a relationship from what I'm understanding.
Well, the one
right now, if we all like the Chicago Bulls and we at the game rooting for them, that may be a relationship. You know what I mean? I think it's important to kind of understand that.
The one relationship I always like talking to you about is the relationship that I have with money.
Yeah.
That's a relationship, right? The relationship we have with materialistic things. And I would even bet that whatever our relationship is in our intimate relationships, or whatever our engagement is in our intimate relationships, is probably similar in all of our relationships. I would go that far to say how you relation with things and people is transferable. So if you got messed up relationships, you got messed up relationships. So to Marvel's point you got to check on you first, because how you probably relating like that in every area of your life. Let's introduce Mel. Go ahead.
No, let me say this real quick. So you're saying that if you have a bad relationship with money, for example, then it's likely that the rest of your relationships are jacked up as well.
In some capacity, I say yes.
And Nyatu, how you feel about that?
I think that's spot on. I think the reason that people have such bad relationships with money is because they haven't, the light bulb hasn't gone off on their head that it actually is a relationship.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn. Wait a minute.
5 to 6 years ago.
Wait a minute. Hold up, Marvin. I'm sorry. Damn it. Say that again. Say the light bulb hasn't gone off because what?
Because they don't even understand that it's a relationship that they have with money.
Damn.
Wow. They haven't realize that concept, that that's what's going on. You know, they think it's there. You know, so they unaware that they're in a relationship with money. And so what I shared was that trauma gets passed down genetically, and habits get passed down genetically. So believe it or not, you know, some people are being born with poor relationships with money in their DNA. And if they, again, the light bulb never goes off to the relationship, if the light bulb never goes off that they influence and contribute into the relationship, then they will continue to have this tumultuous, toxic relationship with money, that everything they do to get money is effing them up, you know, and everything they do with the money that they get is effed up.
Wow.
Eric, let's bring in Mel. Can you give it an intro? I'm sure you wordsmith, man. Come on, what you got for Mel?
Yeah. Let's bring on the sister. We got Mel Byrd. She is an award-winning speaker, a best-selling author, life coach. I went on her website this morning. It's very vibrant and very powerful. Welcome to the show, sister. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yes. Let's give you a proper intro as well, Mel. Boom. There you go.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us this afternoon. So we are trying to do some justice to this conversation about why are your relationships effed up? I have to be honest here. I actually just learned something a second ago. These two brothers enlightened me on the fact that if you have a bad relationship in one area of your life, and this should be common sense, but I never put this together, that you probably have bad relationships in other areas of your life. How do you feel about that?
I do agree. I think I saw Angela write that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it may not always be across the board, because I am one who has a effed up relationship with money. And I'm paying a coach right now to help me because I had no respect for money. I felt like, you know, money come, money go. It's no big deal, but it is a big deal. Right. I'm now 55. I will be 56 tomorrow.
Come on, Gen X.
Hey, I just made it. I was born 65. And yes, I mean, that's a big part of it, because there are other areas of my life where I am disrespectful in relationships. Yes, I am single.
Okay.
So maybe that is something for me to look at.
Let me ask you, Mel, are you disrespectful to men?
I am.
Damn.
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna be honest about it.
That's an honest answer.
No,
Wait a
I'll
minute.
be honest about it, right? You got to accept it as a problem first if you want to get it fixed, right?
This
So
conversation just got interesting. All right.
Told you it just got interesting. It's gonna heat up today.
So we got to ask you about that, Mel. What do you mean by you are disrespectful to men?
Well, the same thing, like I say with money, like money come, money go. I think men are the same way. And so I think that I don't believe in scarcity. So I feel like there are abundance of men. If you go on Tinder, Black people meet, because I internet date, Facebook love or whatever it's called. There's an abundance of men out there who are single that want to get hooked up. And so I'm like, oh, well, I meet this one, that didn't work out. All right, next guy, that didn't work out. All right, next guy. And instead of actually being intentional, and I think I'm being intentional, but it ain't working. So being intentional and being respectful and saying, you know, let me really give this the attention that it deserves and really focus on what I really want, as opposed to, oh, he liked me. Let me like him back, right? Instead of doing a little research before I decide to delve a little further. So
I want to ask you a question, Scott. Feel free to go ahead, and I'll jump back in if you want to.
Because then I just want to know, like, do you complain about, like, are you concerned about being single? Are you interested in being in a relationship?
I am interested in being in a relationship, and I'm like so many other women. My actions don't line up with my words. So
Marvel just talked about that. Marvel just talked about that early.
Yeah. Yeah. So I say I want to be in a relationship, but then I like if you called me the first of every month, I could tell you about the new guy that I met. And what happened to the guy the month before, I'd be like, what did I say his name was? So I do want to be in a relationship. And at times I do slow down and I say, no, I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to give somebody a chance. And like I met a guy this week. I was just telling Scott, I met a guy this week introduced to me by a friend. So I said, okay, this is going to be good. Problem was he is shorter than me. I'm 5'8", and I had this thing where I wanted to date tall men. But I said, well, you know what? Maybe I got it because he's one of those that looks awesome on paper. 2 degrees, great job, mentors, own his home, drive a luxury car. And I said, well, you know what? Let me let go of that. He's the same height as me. I'm going to give him a little play. So we talk on the phone. A couple of days pass, he ghosts me. And so I said, where is he? So I called my friend. I said, where's your boy? I haven't, he's like, let me research. I'll get back to you. And then I said, well, let me go on his Facebook page and see, maybe he's posted. Because then I started to get concerned because we were talking 2-3 times a day. And when I go on his Facebook page, I see that he posted, I'm in a relationship with. Actually started a relationship with another young woman. So when stuff like that happens to me and I'm like, unfortunately, the next guy is going to pay the price for, that little, I got the wind knocked out of me because here I am like, I'm going to accept him. Let's see how this goes. And then the wind got knocked out of my sails. And the next guy then is going to have a little bit of a harder time getting to know me.
So I got to ask you this question, and I hope, please don't take this as any sort of disrespect. I've been wanting to talk about this for years.
Okay, well, come on.
Right? So I'm 6'4", right? So I frequently meet women who tell me I like tall men. And that's cool, great. It's great for me because I'm 6'4", but I always would wonder, like, that just seems like you only want to date somebody who's tall. So it made me start to think about, and I ask Black women this question because that's who I deal with. Do you really like men, or do you just like the characteristics of a man? And I really want you to think about this. I'm sure you have, but like, do you really like men, or are they just a necessity to accomplish things that you want to get done for entertainment, to make yourself look good to other people? Because I'm going to tell you something. I've met a lot of women. I do not believe they actually like men. I don't believe that.
Why do you say that, Aaron? Because of like how they treat them, or the goals seem unreachable. The bar continues to be raised, and they're seemingly never satisfied. What is it that you're seeing that gives that to you?
It's just a vibe that I get. It's energy that I feel from some women. I feel like they're already sort of agitated, or it's like a competition. And then other women I've met, I just got this feeling like they really, really enjoy men, whether things are going well or not well. They still have this sort of like for men, where others, I just feel like I've had women tell me, like, I'm only dealing with this dude because he can come over and do that special thing that I like. And then I want him out the door right after that. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm sure I might have been that person, but it's like, that's just kind of, I just wonder about that. It's like, it had to be somebody else out there, if you liked men, that could have came over and did that special thing for you or to you, and still stay there and maybe watch TV with you, walk in the park and all that. But some of these women are like, nah, the person got to go after he's done.
Damn.
So what do you feel about that, Mel? Like, is that a thing, or just the women that I met?
No, it's a thing. I do have a friend that does that.
Wow. Okay.
And that's until, I'm like, until I get serious, I can still have fun. But I do love men I can only speak for me, right? I'd love to say I can speak for all women, but there is nothing like that male energy in your space. How I love confident men. So how a man can take charge. Like, we're having a conversation and he'll stand up to me. He'll say, first of all, you got to lower your voice.
Right. Yeah.
I get excited then. I'm like, oh, you just checked me. And then it's nothing like when he says, good morning, beautiful. And like, you look a hot mess, but he says that, there's nothing that can compare to that. when you dressed up, you got somewhere to go. And he's like, babe, because I speak and coach and write. And he's like, babe, knock it out the park. You know, I know you'd be great. Or when I screw up, to have somebody, he say, it'll be all right, right? Lay on his chest and cry in his arms kind of thing. So yeah, I love men. I do want to be in a relationship. And there are so many other people that want to be in relationships. And it just seems like we just can't, like, you know, we just can't get it together for whatever reason. I think like all the things you said, the trust, communication, acceptance. So many of us, like me, I didn't grow up in a house with men, so I didn't know nothing about men. Like I grew up in a house with all women. We ate small portions of food. And then all of a sudden I started going out with guys and they're eating all this food. I'm divorced. So when I was married, I was like, well, when you eat, I'm gonna eat. How much you eat, I'm gonna eat, right? And before I knew it, I gained like 25 pounds in a year. And I was like, oh, men eat different than women. I didn't know I can't eat when he eats. I can't eat everything he eats. So some stuff I just didn't even know. I grew up watching Cosby. I believe that marriage, you're supposed to be happy and all issues can be resolved in 30 minutes. And when I was no longer happy, I said, well, time for a divorce. And you know what? Another one will come right on along. And that didn't happen. I wanted to have kids, but I said, well, I'm waiting on the perfect guy. And that's why I don't have any kids, because the perfect guy does not exist.
Wow. Interesting. Well, we appreciate you being candid. And I want to tie what you just said back to Nyatu. So I know that you are out here counseling people and sort of trying to make sure they're on the right path. When you hear someone express what Mel just told us, she was very real, very candid. What is your sort of advice to them in these situations?
Well, ultimately, for anybody to have a healthy, happy, sustainable, romantic relationship, first and foremost, they have to heal. They have to be healed. And, so we have to admit some things to ourselves, which is hard for people to do. We want to leave the things that happened 10 and 20 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, even last year. We want to put them behind us and just bury them, but they manifest in different ways. So first and foremost, you want to get healed. And the second thing you have to do is you have to get aligned. So Mel touched on something very key. She said, I say I want a man, but again, knowing is half the battle. I commend her for that. She recognized that she may not be, all of her actions and all of the rest of the words that come out of her mouth may not be in alignment with, having that healthy, happy relationship with a romantic partner. And so being aligned is like tuning into a radio station. We all from Chicago. 107.5, is the number one station. But if you go to 107.6, you ain't gonna hear nothing. You go to 107.4, you ain't gonna hear nothing but static, right?
That's
just
right.
That one little 0.1, movement, it's got you off frequency, and you can't hear what you're trying to hear, do what you're trying to do. And relationships and life works the same way. You got to be in alignment. You take your car into the shop. If your tires ain't aligned, they all wobbling and going different ways. If y'all in a relationship and they rowing the boat one way and you rowing the boat the other way, or you rowing the boat and they drilling holes in the boat, we're not in alignment with what we say we want. So those are the two things that people have to be intentional about, and maybe even get some help to achieve, because it's no easy task to heal, and it's not easy to align. You could be a wonderful person, have yourself together in a whole bunch of ways, but miss out on some of the nuances in your behavior, your perspective, your thoughts, and the words that are coming out of your mouth that just put you out of alignment with what you say you want.
Absolutely. You're dropping some jewels over there.
Major jewels.
Now, I got to ask you, though, and I love people who are advisors that are willing to share, how their mentality has evolved. You talked about healing. What are some really deep things that you had to admit to yourself so that your relationships could improve?
I had to admit that I had a bad relationship with women. I was moving how I was moving. Which, was basically having a bunch of defense mechanisms set up to protect me. I wasn't telling myself that. You know, I was framing it a bit different. I was telling myself I was being smart, not putting all my eggs in one basket, and that because I was being honest, I wasn't doing any harm to anyone. But you know, I was dating this young lady, and she was feeling me a lot, and I was feeling her a lot. And but she, you know, she recognized that we ran into a glass ceiling, and she got frustrated with me, and she said, "Hey, and Nyatu, when you have a healthy romantic relationship with a Black woman, you let me know."
Okay.
Right? And I'm like ready to tell her she don't know what she's talking about. I'm not gonna curse her out, but I'm about to, you know, name some women I've had healthy relationships with. But right when I opened my mouth, wheels started to turn, right? and the truth came out.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, you know, that's healthy for you, meaning it was healthy for them, because they agreed to it and because they enjoyed some aspects of it. Does that mean that it was healthy for them? And ultimately, I didn't like my truth, you know? And so from that point forward, I set out to change it.
Thank you.
And would you say, Nyatu, that and then once you recognize that you didn't have a healthy relationship with women, that you also then had to make a decision to want to change that?
Absolutely. That's what I said. I didn't like my truth.
You didn't like the truth.
You know what I'm saying? So I set out to change it. So I've been to counseling multiple times, and I'm in the process of getting back in right now. I don't think you should wait till you think something is wrong with you to be in counseling. I think it's a healthy thing for maintenance, that we confess and confide in and seek guidance and advice from friends and family members who oftentimes just are not equipped to give us that type of advice or direction. Number one, because all their relationships aren't healthy. They're not professional. Number two, when you speak to friends and family, it's difficult for them not to internalize some of what you're saying. So while they're listening to you, they're actually saying in their head, well, how does this affect us? I wonder, does she think that about me? You know, there are all these other factors. They know you before. They know things about your history and your life. And so they pour all this onto every word that comes out of your mouth. This all happens in a millisecond. They're not thinking it consciously, but unconsciously, they remember the time you bopped so-and-so in the head with a bottle. They remember the time you went to jail. They remember the time when you keyed somebody's car. They remember the time you got knocked out, or you got fired from your job on your off day like Craig on Friday. And in that millisecond, every time you open your mouth, they putting all that on there. Whereas when you go and speak to a therapist, you go speak to a counselor, it's totally unbiased. They don't know none of your people to tell nobody, throw it back in your face. Y'all don't have that type of relationship where it's going to be a falling out and they're going to throw it back in your face or any of those type things. So it's actually why, Black people are very uncomfortable with it. Probably the biggest reason is probably paying for it, but a lot of Black people have insurance too, but they're uncomfortable with it, and it should be the most comfortable space. It's because they don't know the person that's uncomfortable with it, but that is what makes it safe. That they can't get any gains from telling anybody. There's nobody who wants to listen. Nobody cares about Mel, who they don't know, problem with her boyfriend. No one cares about Nyatu's, problem with whoever, So powerful tool in the healing process. Just hearing yourself say certain stuff out loud is a healing process. No
doubt. If you're just tuning in, you're rocking with the MONEYSEXGENX podcast. We are having a lively discussion here. This is season 3, episode number 4. We're talking about why are your relationships effed up? We got a beautiful panel here. Everybody's being transparent, keeping it real. I want to go over here to my brother, Big Stu. You're a little quiet over there. I want to know what nasty, deep down revelations did you have to come to about your relationships?
Why would you ask me something like that, brother?
You need that transparency, brother. What can you tell us?
Wow. Stu's moment of disclosure.
Segment.
Man, I had to, and I am in process, so I haven't accomplished. I ain't done. I'm a piece of work, brother.
We are.
And so the resentment I had toward my mother, was playing out in my relationships with women.
Okay, that's deep.
That's Stu's moment of disclosure, and my mom knows this. My mom tunes into the show.
Okay,
You know, we are continue work in process. I love my mama to death. I love my mama to life. Let me change that, obviously, but there were some challenges in my teen developing years that made me look at women sideways, and I carried some of that. And so, like how you put it in Nyatu, those defense mechanisms were birthed. And I'm thinking one way when really it was part of a childhood trauma, you know? So that's my ugly truth. Because I also wanted to go back and ask, as coach, some of the relationships that what I rarely hear women talk about is their relationship, the connection between the relationship they have with their father and how it plays out in relationships with men. Because I honestly see a lot of women who don't really seem to have strong, healthy relationships with their dads. Is there a connection there, or am I just making something up? Is it just me?
No, they're, the science tells us that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You know, and so when something's missing, you better know, you know what I'm saying, that something's going to be missing. And so when any child has a parent that's missing, there is the feeling of abandonment. There's a feeling of rejection. There's trouble trusting. There's trouble relying on people. You know, ultra independence is a trauma response. And so we try to be like, we don't need nobody. Again, we talked about this earlier, the era of individualism, right? So we've been let down. So we are afraid to ever depend on anybody ever again. And so we desperately want to have somebody that we can depend on. But at the same time, when we even catch ourselves feeling like we can depend on somebody, we think we crazy. We try to pull ourselves back to what we think is reality. You know,
you can sabotage it.
Oh man, people are self-sabotaging all day, every day. That's the only thing that can hold you back. Can't nobody else hold you back but you.
So a lot of times, do I hear you saying in Nyatu, I'm sorry, do I hear you saying that a lot of these relationships could be worked out if we allow them to be worked out?
Absolutely.
Damn.
Absolutely.
Now you tell me.
That's
Mel,
some real honesty right there.
How do you feel about that comment about the relationship with the father coming into the romantic relationship of the female?
Yeah, that's true. And that is huge because that's your first, relationship for a little girl with her dad, your first male relationship. And so sometimes I am angry about my dad because he was in my life, but he did not talk. Him and my mother, they divorced when I was really young. But dad didn't talk about anything about how I should allow a man to treat me or ask a man to treat me or anything like that. We didn't have any of those conversations. So I love movies now that like daughter and daddy have great relationships kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff because my dad was cool and he joke and laugh. My dad was a hustler. He ran numbers for a living. Okay. So the relationship was up and down. So when he had money, you could find him all day long. When he didn't have no money, he disappeared. But I'm not attracted. So I am not attracted to men that are unstable like that. Right. I'm like, I already know I don't want that. The stuff I love about my dad, though, he had a great sense of humor. He's a people person. So I'm attracted to men that are like that and have a little bit of a hustler in them. Legally though, I'm too pretty to do time. So you gotta keep it above board. But that does play into it. But I know a lot of women who they had great relationships with their dad and they still single, can't find a man, can't keep a man. And then I know there are those who didn't have great relationships with dad, but they endeavor to make sure that their relationship with their husband or their boyfriend is different. So although it may play a role, we can make a conscious decision about what we want in our life. And if we want something different, then you're going to do something different to make sure you get what you want.
Nyatu, you were trying to say something? Go ahead.
Well, Mel said she really hit the nail on the head. And when we spoke about the dads being missing, I thought about this aspect, but she said she knows women who have great relationships with their dad that are single. And so there are some fathers out here who had the best of intentions when they spoiled their daughters from birth all the way into adulthood. And you fall in love with your daughter before she's even born. When she's in her mama's stomach, you in love with her. And of course, you will lose your life. You will give your life. You will sacrifice. You will do whatever for your daughter. And so what happens is these women become adults and they expect a man to treat them like their father right from day one, right? So yes, a man, your husband will, a man that grows into your husband will get to that space, but no man is going to do for you and feel for you like your father does on the day that he meets you. That's just not going to happen. And so they have this unrealistic expectation. And so, there's this concept out here that a lot of people are in non-sexual relationships with their parents or their children. Non-sexual romantic relationships. This is who they're going out on dates with. This is who they partner in life with. They business partners, when they're going to buy a house or a car or this or that, they with their daddy or they with their son, and this is who they are clinging to for companionship and partnership in life. And so it seems like it's a healthy situation and dynamic, but it ends up being just the opposite.
I can relate to that. I remember I was in a very bad relationship with a young lady, and we were trying to, how you go to the therapist too late. So it was really too late, but we were trying to get some perspective. And the therapist looked at her one day and told her something that I never forgot. She looked at her and said, "You cannot be in a relationship, a romantic relationship with your father." I was like, what? She was like, yeah, you all have a father-daughter relationship that you think is romantic, but you can't do it. It will not work. And that was mind-blowing for the young lady. It was mind-blowing for me, but it made sense. Now, she was in a situation where she had a father, but the father died when she was young. And I've dated and been in relationships with several women like that. So the father may have died when she was 11 or 12. And so, and I mean, part of this is me not knowing how to be in a healthy relationship. But yeah, I was kind of acting like I was her parent and she was receiving me as her father. And so once we understood that, we understood why the relationship really would not be able to work romantically. So I believe that happens to a lot of people.
Let me go to the comment. We got a comment here from Tori Dunbar. She says, "I have no relationship with my father. I love him dearly growing up in the house, but in the neighborhood house as well, in the neighbor's house as well. At the same time, my mother stayed, may she rest in peace, but I understood why she stayed because she loved him and didn't have her own identity. Me, myself, I run for the hills. I have never had a male role model in my life at 47 years old." Wow.
Very candid, very candid.
Hey,
Yeah,
Terry,
and I want to get.
Hold on, Eric. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nyatu, real quick.
I'm saying hey to Terry Dunbar and telling her thank you for being transparent and sharing her testimony.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to have a moment of disclosure for myself. So I had to think about a lot about my relationships as we were preparing for this episode. And I know for myself, a lot of my issues have been around the non-acceptance. And so I think it's good for me now when I enter a relationship with a woman, or even if it's a friend, just a friend, trying to really get a grasp on who this person is up front. And then really asking myself, Mel, can I accept this person for who they are? Or am I going to try to change them into something that they're not? And the reason why I bring this up as we kind of round home based on this conversation, I think it's important for us to understand where our weak spots are as it relates to relationships. That's my weak spot. Scott Big Stu has his weak spot, and Nyatu has his, and try to build out from there. You might need to go get a coach. Like one of you, I noticed that both of you are life coaches. You might need to go to get a licensed therapist. You might need to go to your pastor. But whoever it is, just understanding, like, once you're clear on your weak spots, it's okay to go get some help to try to be better in relationships. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I wanna ask a couple of. I think we're still, and I know we're gonna honor everybody's time today in the time of our show and our format. But I want to talk about something that's important and dear to me, which is sex in relationships, specifically monogamy. I asked women this question. So Mel, I'm gonna point to you on this question, and then we'll go out from there. Do you expect men to cheat? That is the whole question. Do you expect men to cheat?
I do.
Wow.
I do. So I'm a little different with relationships. I have been in committed relationships where it's just us, but I've also been kind of in like quasi open relationships because I do feel it's difficult for men to be committed to one woman for long periods of time. So I'm like, if you're going to do something, make sure you're protected and make sure I don't find out. So I have been in relationships where when we're together, and when we're not together, we're not together. I did this long distance for a year with a guy that lived in Baltimore, and we visit each other each month. It ended up breaking up because I wanted more and he didn't. He really didn't want to be in a committed long distance relationship. So it ended up breaking up. But I do expect men to cheat, and I'm just like, be protective and don't let me find out.
Let me ask the fellas here.
Scott, I want to get this question out before I forget it.
Yeah.
Are we overly concerned about our romantic, not say you're not married, are we overly concerned about our romantic partners being with somebody else? Because it seems like that's one of the biggest reasons that relationships sort of fall apart. Should we not worry about that as much?
No, I think we got to worry about it. That's why my marriage fell apart. And, he cheated on me. And I said, well, I just couldn't, trust him again. But back then when I was 28, when I got married, I never expected him to cheat. That was like the furthest thing from my mind. So when he did, I was devastated. And so now with guys, and I haven't dated anybody since my divorce in 98, anybody for longer than a year. So I've been in committed relationships that go like 6 months, 9 months, but when it starts getting to that year part, stuff start falling apart. I haven't gotten to the root of that yet. But I think we are concerned about that at all times. Because when I do fully love someone with all my heart and passion, then no, I don't want them to cheat. I don't want them to go and, be protected and not let me find out. I don't want that. I want him all to myself. So yeah, it's always a concern. I'm always still afraid that I am going to fully love someone and then that will might somehow happen and devastate me.
Let me ask the fellas, black men. Can we be monogamous?
I know some men that are monogamous. I can't be monogamous.
Yeah.
You said you can or can't?
No, I can.
Okay. I just didn't hear you.
The question is, do we want to be? Should we be? But we are in control of ourselves, and we can do, whatever we set our minds to. Ultimately, my question is do men see the value in monogamy? And do women understand that there has to be some value in monogamy? Or are they just demanding this because this is what we taught? We demand it, but then we don't understand what responsibilities we take on that comes along with making that demand, right? When someone is 100,000% dependent on you for their entire sex life, that means that to some degree they're depending on you for some of their self-esteem. They're depending on you to feel desired. They're depending on you to feel handsome and or pretty or beautiful. You know, they're relying on you for these things. You ask them to totally rely on you. And a lot of people demand monogamy and then don't provide none of that. They barely sleeping with the person that they with. They ain't complimenting them. They ain't making them feel desired. They ain't putting no effort into nothing. But if they catch a person cheating, they're going to be heartbroken and want to set your car on fire.
Right.
That's true. And I feel like another thing that you can do, and I'm talking to the younger people out here, don't be monogamous, but then take it out on your partner because you really want to be out there with other people. You know what I mean? I think I've been guilty of that. It's like I never had a problem not cheating, but I would be frustrated with that situation where I really kind of probably wanted to be out there, but then you're not doing nothing, but your relationship still falls apart because you're frustrated with your partner and you really probably do want to be out there doing something.
Yeah, because I think sometimes women, and I'm talking to the guys. I know you are the female, you are the feminine energy in the room. So I think sometimes in relationships, women know how to put it on you, on the brothers. And sometimes we know that leads. Sex happens a lot of times very early in a relationship, and it's the best of the best. You know how it is in the beginning, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna be together now. I expect you not to do this thing, and then once you in. And then things get loose. It's like, and to do that no more. And then it's like, but guys, we kind of still be on that. Like, whoa. Wait. What's happening here? Can you speak to that a little bit, Mel?
Well,
the women try to lasso us in with the 2-piece petty or whatever it may be.
With the ooh-wee.
Because sweet tea.
Yeah, because we think that's like ultra important to men. Is sex, right? It's grounded in our head that men want sex, like And so when I was married, I did the kind of use sex as a weapon, withhold. If I was pissed, I slept in full pajamas. I slept on the edge of the bed, like don't touch me, kind of thing. If the bills I laid, don't touch me. That was his punishment. Like if you ain't do the stuff I wanted you to do, then I'm like, you can't have none, right? And I would, I would use that because I felt like, and I still feel like sex is a very important part of a relationship. So yeah, in the beginning part, like we're gonna whip it on you and show you, see, I can do this, I can flip up, I can flip down, and I could do this, I come from the back to side and all around, baby. And then eventually that's like tiring, like to do that every time, right? That ain't gonna happen every time.
Gotta keep it up.
Yeah, you can't keep it up. I remember just, saying one time to this guy, is this gonna be over quick? Right.
Ooh.
That wasn't the right thing to say. But yeah, we can't, you got to be careful how you start because it is tiring to keep up all that stuff. But yeah, we do that to pull you in. And then our hope is that, it'll settle down and we not have to flip up, down, all around every time. And then we get caught up, right? Because y'all get bored. Then we get bored. And before you know it, ain't nobody putting no energy in. You just like, okay. All right, good night. And then you're like, how do we get here? The creativity is gone, the passion is gone, and then here you are looking for Mr. Marvel to counsel you.
Eric, I know you are really good about this show and you have a format, right? I feel like we're about to. I know I'm looking at the time. Because I got another question that I want to ask of the room. Eric, do you mind? May I ask this other question?
Please do, and then we'll let our guests transition. But yes,
yeah. There's a rumor among some men that all women, when they're in relationships, there's a rumor that all women got somebody on standby. Can you validate, or what's the opposite of validate? Invalidate this rumor. Do women, you're not gonna answer this. You got too many women friends that's looking at you're not gonna give us the truth, Mel. You're not gonna give us the truth.
I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Do women have somebody on standby?
All right, so here's the thing. When I was younger, I did. In my 40s, I did. But now in my 50s, I do not. So I can go for months and months and months and just hang out with Bob, my battery operated boyfriend.
Okay, come through.
Yeah, because I don't have anybody on standby. And the other thing is when we start getting to the 50s, I'm talking more about this. I told Stu I want to talk about this too. On our work, we're gonna do a relationship chat on Friday, February 12th, because right around Valentine's Day, you're painfully reminded about your singleness. And so I want to be able to give some people some hope and have a conversation about it. But in the 50s, I mean, a lot of guys that have erectile dysfunction. So, where I used to be able to have guys on the side and all that stuff, 50-year-olds. So I'm dating guys younger. Praise God, I don't look my age. So I date younger guys. But having guys on the side, it starts to get in the way, because if you do meet someone that you really like, then you don't want to have to be turning your phone face down. You don't want to have to turn your ringer off, every night. It's a lot to it, because I did it for years and I could do a whole chat on that too. But it's a lot to keep up with. Then you got to remember all these details, right? You have to remember what I said to who and when, and did I flip it for him last time, and did I turn it for him last time, and what is it that he really likes? So it's too much. Right, I'm in my 50s now. It's too much. My memory ain't that good, and I ain't gonna be writing that shit down. It's too much to remember. But yeah, women, they do. Women are a lot more sexually free now, and whereas before it was like you thought only men cheated, but a lot of women are cheating now. I know a lot of women are cheating now. Yes, women do have someone on the side, but not all women. Not all women.
Of course.
Yeah, not all women, but some women do, and I was one of those back in the day. I can't now. It's too much work.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
And Nyatu, do you have any final thoughts as we put a pin in this beautiful conversation here?
Yeah, I have a 3-prong test for success in relationships that I love to share with people. And so my parting words are: the right relationship will enhance you, advance you, and romance you. That's when you know you got the right situation going on. It's making you a better person, it's pushing you further along in life, and you're experiencing the joy of romance and companionship.
I like that. Enhance, advance. Mel, we got a lot of young people that love the show, a lot of millennials and Generation Z. Can you drop a few jewels as we go out on the relationship subject?
So what you want to know, definitely, I think it was stated already, you want to learn about yourself, because that does take some time to learn some stuff about yourself, but experience a lot of different things, learn about yourself, learn what you like, learn what you don't like, develop your belief and value system and stick to it. Make sure your actions and your words line up, and realize that relationships, when you get in one and you know it's good and you know it can work out, that relationships can be difficult, but it's not impossible. And it may not always be easy, but when you get that good one, hang on, because it will be worth it.
Love it.
Nice. Hey, listen, we're about to wrap up our show real quick and give you guys each 60 seconds to tell the folks where they can find you, what you got going on. You have 60 seconds. We'll start with you, Mel, and then we're going to let you go, and then Nyatu, we're going to end with you. So Mel, 60 seconds. What you got going on? Where can the people find you?
Hey, everybody. You can find me at Mel Byrd Rocks, MELBYRDROCKS.com. Email mel@melbirdrocks.com. As I stated, coming up, we're going to have a relationship workshop. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. That's my Facebook name, Mel MeMe Byrd. Friend me. And on Friday, February 12th at 7 p.m., we're going to be talking about relationships. Catch me, melbirdrocks.com.
Awesome. That is awesome. Thank you, Mel. And Nyatu, what you got going on?
All right, all right, all right. So if you've just tuning in or you've been tuning in, Nyatu Marvel is Hitch. You can find me on Facebook as in Nyatu Marvel. You can find me on Clubhouse as in Nyatu Marvel. You can find me on Instagram as in Nyatu Marvel is Hitch. I am the co-author of an Amazon best-selling book. It's called Why He Married Her and Played Me, 9 Secrets to What He's Thinking. A Black-owned publishing house approached me about writing a chapter in this book. I was assigned a chapter about sexual compatibility. You can go to www.thehitchagency.com and purchase the book. I will autograph it for you. I will personalize it for you and ship it out within 24 hours. And today on my Facebook page at 4:44 Central Standard Time, I will be going live with a Q&A as Hitch to answer your questions and basically hand out miniature free sessions to help people have healthy, happy, sustainable relationships and enhance dating. Thanks for having me on the show, fellas. Salute.
You're very welcome. Salute to you.
Salute, brother. Thank you, brother.
Wow, that was a great conversation. I learned things.
Oh, man.
Learned some things today. You know, that's one of those subjects I feel like you can never learn everything. You could always pick up something from people about relationships.
It can, I mean, it's obviously one of the hottest topics. Yeah, it's great, man. It was great. It was a great relationship. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad we decided to bring the feminine energy in.
Yeah, that was a good look.
Learn some things.
Yeah.
Betty says, thank you for chiming in, Betty. You're a great audience member, great guest. Angela, thank you for always chiming in. You're a great guest as well. Hey, man, we got great ladies, man. They really support us, huh?
Yeah, we do. And that's a beautiful thing. We need to make sure they have all the MSG merch that they could ever want in any flavor. And yeah, we do appreciate that. It's such a great thing to have your woman, your lady standing right there with you as you try to make things happen.
Absolutely. Right. What's your biggest takeaway for the day, E? What's your biggest takeaway, man?
My biggest takeaway is just that concept of understanding that, you know, you're in a relationship with multiple people. Whenever you're dealing with one person, you're dealing with everybody they're in a relationship with and everything that they have a relationship with. And so that's just something I just want to continue to meditate on.
Yeah. Mine is, you know, working on making sure that I'm healing self and taking care of self and not putting that on my lady, you know. That's a big one. I desire to be in a monogamous, because I agreed to it, healthy, happy relationship. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that I have the right person to do that with. I think sometimes the expectations get challenged, and I got to work on that. And that both ways. Like, I still have a lot of learning to do. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Even at my age, I'm not ashamed to say that I still got a lot of learning to do when it comes to relationships, particularly romantic, intimate relationships. That's
what's up. I appreciate that candidness. Yeah, same here, man. I desire to be in a monogamous relationship. I desire to do my part on a higher level.
Yeah.
You know, in my current relationship. And yeah, like you said, it's going to take some work. I know what my triggers are and I know what I need to work on. And I'm going to continue to do that work. But, you know, I will say my current relationship has been great.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I can do my part to make it even greater.
Come through.
So we're going to do that. We're going to do that in 2021. So we're going to get to our next segment, which is something I love to do every week, Big Stu.
Yeah.
We'll be coming through with the information and the situation. So this is Characters from Corporate. If you've never heard this segment before, this is where you kind of send us a quick message about something that's going on in your corporate life. Usually you identify somebody as being a character. It might be you, it might be your manager, your boss, etc. And you let us know what's going on. So this week, our person came in, they said, hey, I am a 31-year-old Black woman from Seattle, Washington. I am currently unemployed, and I'm looking for another position, Big Stu, as a nurse.
Okay.
She says, I left my last job because my coworkers who were also Black were Democrats, and they used to talk all day about how crazy it was for anyone to be a Democrat. I shared once that I actually like some of the Republican ways of thinking, and they brought that up every day after that until I decided I couldn't take it anymore and I left. They weren't malicious about it, but it coming up every day was too much for me.
Yeah.
Am I tripping, or were they characters from corporate?
I'm riding with you, sister. They were some characters from corporate. They was corporate bullies. It's terrible. Terrible of them, man. It's immature. Why you gonna keep bringing that up every day? It's being silly. It's being silly. Kids, man. They the characters, sis. Not you.
Now, they told me when I was younger, I don't know if this was good advice or not, never to discuss politics or race at work.
And mine was politics, race, religion, or money.
That's a big one. Yeah, I was told that too. Politics,
religion or money as well.
PRR, politics,
race, religion. Yeah.
So I didn't follow the advice. I've talked about all of those things in corporate at some point. I paid heavily each time.
It's so interesting because even like right now, and so I don't work for a corporation. I'm building one. But as I think about the relationships that I enter with other people that I meet, how much transparency should I be sharing, right? Because I'm thinking that I want the relationship to be smooth. So I come through full disclosure, all cards face up on the table, and I know that sometimes that unfortunately can still be a little off-putting to others who may not be in alignment with some of my views, whether it's politics, race, religion, or whatever it may be. So I should probably be a little more careful with that. But yeah. People are judgmental, man. People are judgmental, man.
Yeah, I mean, and as myself also being a business owner, I just have learned that it's just not worth losing a client over trying to explain to them what my personal belief systems are. It's like, we're here to do this specific thing, and whether I'm a Democrat, Republican, or whatever, that really doesn't, unless the business is about that, I've learned that it's just not a good place to do it. I mean, I've had beautiful relationships with some people, and we never talked about any of that.
Yeah.
So that would be my 2 cents for the sister out in Seattle, Washington. Maybe you were some would say maybe you're being a little sensitive, but hey, I don't know how malicious, I don't know how it came off as they were talking about every day, but I could agree it was irritating to do it every day, and that they definitely were tripping a little bit, if not a lot.
Hey, real quick, man, let me point out something. And I know what I'm looking at the time. I think we're going to make perfect time.
Okay.
Your ensemble today, brother, from the hat to the tie. Your tie is like perfectly tied.
Thank you, sir.
The collar span on the neck of the shirt. The jacket fits and hugs the shirt, bro. You on point today, man. You on point today, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But you got a little some je ne sais quoi today, bro. You own something today, bro. I see you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Man. My father taught me how to tie these ties up when I was a young lad. So I try to do him right by keeping that going. But no, I appreciate that, man. And I was gonna say this, and I'm not just saying this because you gave me the compliment. That jean jacket is mean.
Come through, man.
I like that. I noticed it when we were doing the pregame. I'm like, yeah, because it reminds me of the denim we used to rock back in the day. We were 18, 19. The fresh denim pops. I like that, man. So thank you,
man. Somebody real close to me gives me the flux over this jean jacket, bro. But I love it. I like it. I Rocket. I appreciate you picking up on it, man.
Yeah,
Little something, man. Little something.
You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. So, hey, man, we are looking good on time. Do you have any closing comments for this show today?
Let's try to put a pin in this thing real quick. Why are your relationships so fucked up?
Yeah.
Because we're not being honest with ourselves, because we're expecting too much. Some of us ain't healed. You know, our words and actions ain't lining up. We got to check ourselves. We got to be open to it. Stay open-minded, right? I think that some of us are in relationships. They not really fucked up. I think some of how we thinking about it is fucked up. No, they ain't fucked up. Stop tripping. And stop looking at other people's lives and then thinking that it ain't showing up in how you compare your life. Stop that. It's true. You looking, I mean, it's a pervasive, in my opinion. It seeps in the subconscious. So you got to be careful with that. What about you?
Man, you just said a lot. And I love everything that you just said. And you know what? The fact that people are listening and they're kind of trying to get some insight, that's beautiful. So for me, I'm just going to say, why are your relationships effed up? What we got to do and what I continue to do is because you're effed up.
Damn.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. When I say that, I mean we got some work to do. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do the work. Let's go get some help if we need some help. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us weren't raised to understand what a relationship was or is. I wasn't. And so we got to continue to put together what is a relationship and how do I address the ones that I have moving forward. It's okay. It's cool. So I'm going to keep doing that work. And that's my 2 cents, my final 2 cents on that.
Hey, listen, I am going to bring in, we have our MONEYSEXGENX artist listen.
Oh, yeah. Who we got this week?
We have a guy by the name of Kevin Lamont.
Kevin Lamont. Okay.
Kevin Lamont is the R&B singer. He got this stepper song that I want to play. It's called, and it's perfect for our show today. It's called I Will Love You, and it is by Kevin Lamont. Let's get into it right now.
MONEYSEXGENX.com.
Kevin Lamont.
Stuff.
When we first met, that's the day I'll never forget.
Indeed.
When I saw you, my heart skipped a beat. Your laugh, your smile, ooh, was so sweet. You move like poetry in motion, a perfume so divine.
Hey.
And I'm so thankful to know that you are.
Hey, Angela. Right there. Hey.
For all my days,
right. Hey.
In so many ways, I will love you. For all my days, you make me happy.
Hey.
In so many ways.
They can hit the rest of that on pool, man. They got to go to pool to get the rest of that.
Man. Yeah, man. I know how to do a little something. I got 2 uncles, Earl and Carl, that are some great steppers. So, yeah, that was a beautiful song. I'm going to have to hear that whole song.
Yeah, MONEYSEXPOOL.com. That's Kevin Lamont, man. And so that's our MONEYSEXPOOL artist listen of the week.
All right, another banger. So we hope that you will join us next week. We're closing out episode 4, episode 5. We're going to get into another topic. Do we even remember what 5 is?
Is next week? Is that our episode where we're talking about living in the suburbs?
No, I think that was a little later on.
Our next week's topic is, and I'm going to pull it right here. Our next week's topic is